Commander Olivia Grant looked out the large window of the USS Dauntless. The stars were bright against the black of space. She had been in command of this ship for 5 years now. It was a good ship with a good crew. Most days were quiet, peaceful, just how everyone liked it. Today was not going to be one of those days. "Commander, we're getting a call from the Zelaran ship," said Lieutenant Gregory Powell from his station. His fingers moved quickly over the controls. "They say it's urgent," Olivia nodded. "Put them on the main screen." The large display at the front of the bridge flickered. The image of Ambassador Zix appeared. The Zelaran was tall and thin with a hard outer shell like a beetle. 4 arms moved nervously at his sides. His large eyes seemed to twitch. "Ambassador Zix," Olivia said with a small bow of her head. "This is unexpected. How can we help you today?" The alien's mouth parts clicked together before he spoke. "Commander Grant, I come with a message from the Zelaran Emperor himself." Something in the ambassador's tone made Olivia stand up straighter. She glanced at Lieutenant Powell, who raised an eyebrow. "We're listening, Ambassador." The alien seemed to grow taller. "For 3,000 years, the Galactic Confederation has allowed your primitive species to exist in peace. Today, that peace ends. The Zelaran Empire formally declares war on humanity." The bridge went silent. Olivia blinked twice. Then she did something that clearly confused the ambassador. She laughed. Not a small laugh, but a real laugh that came from deep in her chest. The rest of the bridge crew looked at each other. Then one by one they began to laugh too. Ambassador Zix's eyes widened. His mouth parts clicked faster. "This is no joke. This is an official declaration of war. The Zelaran Empire will crush your species." Olivia took a deep breath and wiped a tear from her eye. "I'm sorry, Ambassador. I think there must be some kind of mistake. Perhaps you should speak with our diplomats. I'm sure whatever problem exists can be solved peacefully. There is no mistake." The ambassador's voice rose higher. "We have already sent our battle fleet. The destruction of humanity will begin in 1 Earth week." The screen went black as the ambassador cut the connection. Lieutenant Powell walked over to Olivia's side. "Should we be worried, Commander?" Olivia looked at him and smiled. "Tell Earth Defense Command about the call, but tell them not to cancel any weekend plans." "You don't think the Zelarans are serious?" Powell asked. "Oh, they're serious," Olivia said. "They just have no idea what they're doing." An hour later, in a large room deep under the Rocky Mountains on Earth, 5 important people sat around a round table. Defense Secretary Alan Murphy stood at one end, showing them pictures of the Zelaran ships. "The Zelarans have moved their entire fleet toward Earth. They will arrive in 6 days," he said. President Diane Russell watched the moving dots on the display. "And they really declared war on us? After 3,000 years of peace?" "Yes, Madam President," Secretary Murphy said. "Their ambassador delivered the message to the USS Dauntless earlier today." "Do they know about the sleepers?" asked General Ben Hawkins, the head of Earth's military. Secretary Murphy shook his head. "No. As far as we can tell, they think we've been at peace for 3,000 years because we had no choice." President Russell stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the mountains and the blue sky. "They think we're weak. They think we signed the peace accords because we were afraid." "Yes, Madam President," Secretary Murphy said. The President turned back to the group. "Wake up the sleepers." Everyone in the room looked surprised. "Are you sure that's necessary?" Secretary Murphy asked. "The Zelaran fleet is big, but our regular forces can handle them. The Zelarans need to learn a lesson," President Russell said firmly. 3,000 years ago, we weren't keeping peace because we were weak. We were keeping peace because we were too strong." Down another level, in a room few people knew existed, Dr. Patricia Walsh walked between 5 large pods. Each pod was made of clear material that allowed her to see the people sleeping inside. These were the sleepers, 5 generals from the last Great War. They had been kept in a special sleep for 3,000 years, only to be awakened if they were truly needed. Dr. Walsh checked each pod's controls one last time. Then she pressed the button that would wake them up. Cold mist filled the room as the pods slowly opened. Major Kyle Bennett stood nearby, watching with wide eyes. "Will they understand how to fight a modern war?" he asked. Dr. Walsh smiled. Major, these 5 people invented modern war. The Zalarans have no idea who they're about to meet. Inside the first pod, a woman with short gray hair opened her eyes. This was General Sofia Rivera, the most famous of the 5. 3,000 years ago, she had ended the last galactic war in less than a week. She sat up slowly and looked around. How long? She asked, her voice rough from not being used. 3,000 years, General, Dr. Walsh said. General Rivera nodded. Then the peace has been broken? Yes, General. The Zalarans have declared war on humanity. General Rivera stood up. She looked young and strong despite her gray hair. The Zalarans? Interesting, they were always afraid of us before. They seem to have forgotten why, Dr. Walsh said. General Rivera stepped out of her pod. The other 4 sleepers were waking up too. Then we will remind them. Back on the USS Dauntless, Commander Olivia Grant received new orders from Earth. She read them and then called Lieutenant Powell over. We're to hold position and wait, she told him. Earth is sending special advisors. Special advisors? For a war? Powell looked confused. Olivia smiled. Not just any advisors. The sleepers have been awakened. Powell's eyes grew wide. The sleepers? I thought they were just a story. They're very real, Olivia said. And soon, the Zalarans will wish they had remembered why all other species in the galaxy tried so hard to keep us happy for the last 3,000 years. As the USS Dauntless waited in space, a small fast ship left Earth. On board were 5 people who had seen humanity's true power firsthand. They were coming to teach the Zalarans a lesson they would never forget. The war that was supposed to destroy humanity was about to become the biggest mistake the Zalaran Empire had ever made. The 5 sleepers sat around a table on the small ship as it raced toward the USS Dauntless. Each of them looked through files on small screens, catching up on 3,000 years of history they had missed. General Sofia Rivera put down her screen and looked at the others. 3,000 years of peace, we did good work. Colonel Nathan Hart nodded. His dark skin contrasted with his completely white hair. And now the Zalarans want to ruin it all. They've forgotten, said Admiral Elaine Winters, the oldest of the 5. Her face had deep lines and her hands shook slightly, but her eyes were sharp. They've forgotten what humans can do when pushed. General Daniel Ford, a tall man with broad shoulders, laughed. Then we'll remind them, just like old times. The 5th sleeper, Dr. Samantha Cole, said nothing. She was not a military leader like the others. She was a scientist who had created weapons that ended the last war, weapons so terrible that after the war, she had suggested they all go to sleep rather than live in the peace they had created. The others had agreed. The ship's pilot called back to them. We're approaching the USS Dauntless. We'll dock in 5 minutes. On the bridge of the USS Dauntless, Commander Olivia Grant and her crew waited nervously. Everyone had heard stories about the sleepers, but no one alive had ever seen them. Ship approaching, Commander, said Lieutenant Powell. It's them. Olivia stood up straighter and adjusted her uniform. Prepare to receive our guests. 10 minutes later, the 5 sleepers walked onto the bridge. The crew went silent. These 5 people were legends. Stories about them were told to children. Now they were here, in person. General Rivera walked directly to Olivia and held out her hand. Commander Grant, thank you for your service. Olivia shook her hand, trying not to show how nervous she felt. General Rivera, it's an honor to meet you. General Rivera smiled. The honor is mine, Commander. Now tell me everything you know about the Zalarans. For the next hour, Olivia and her crew showed the sleepers everything they knew about the Zalaran Empire, their ships, their weapons, their battle plans. When they finished, Admiral Winters nodded slowly. Their technology has improved, but not as much as they think. What do you mean? Olivia asked. Dr. Cole spoke for the first time. Her voice was soft, but everyone listened closely. They think they know what human technology is like based on what we've shown the galaxy, but they don't know what we've been hiding. Hiding? Lieutenant Powell looked confused. General Rivera nodded. For 3,000 years, humanity has pretended to be less advanced than we really are. It was part of the peace agreement. We would limit the technology we shared with the galaxy. But why? Asked Olivia. Because the last time we showed our true power, we nearly destroyed half the galaxy, said Colonel Hart. No one wanted that to happen again, especially not us. On the Zelleran flagship, Grand Admiral Zaxtar looked at the display showing the human defense fleet. Only 50 ships against his 2,000. This would be an easy victory. Pathetic, he said to his officers. The humans don't even have their ships in a proper battle formation. They're just scattered around. His second-in-command, Sub-Admiral Vix, clicked his mouthparts nervously. Sir, there are stories about humans. Old stories from before the peace accords. Stories? The Grand Admiral turned his large eyes toward Vix. What stories? That humans aren't weak. That they're actually very dangerous. That the peace accords were signed because the other species were afraid of them. The Grand Admiral laughed. Afraid? Of humans? Look at their ships, Vix. Look how few there are. If they were so dangerous, why have they done nothing for 3,000 years? Why have they allowed other species to take their resources and their territory? Vix had no answer for that. Prepare the attack, ordered the Grand Admiral. We will. Destroy their fleet and then their homeworld. The Emperor will be pleased. Back on the USS Dauntless, the sleepers had finished reviewing all the information. General Rivera turned to Olivia. Commander, I need to speak with Earth Defense Command. Olivia nodded to Lieutenant Powell, who set up the communication. Soon, the face of General Ben Hawkins appeared on the screen. General Rivera, he said with deep respect. What are your orders? Activate the Mobius Protocol, she said simply. General Hawkins's eyes widened. The Mobius Protocol? Are you certain? I am, said General Rivera. It's time to show the Zellerans why the galaxy agreed to let us live in peace. After the call ended, Olivia looked at General Rivera. What's the Mobius Protocol? The general smiled. 3,000 years ago, before we went to sleep, we left a few surprises scattered around the solar system, just in case. What kind of surprises? Asked Lieutenant Powell. Dr. Cole answered. Weapons, hidden in asteroids, moons, and scattered throughout space. Designed to look like normal space debris. But they're much more than that. And they still work after 3,000 years? Olivia was amazed. They've been maintained and updated in secret, said Colonel Hart. A small group of people have known about them and taken care of them for generations. Olivia tried to understand what this meant. So we have secret weapons that the Zellarans don't know about? Not just weapons, said General Ford with a smile. We have weapons that no one in the galaxy has seen before. Weapons that were too powerful to use even in the last war. Admiral Winters looked at the display showing the approaching Zelleran fleet. The Zellerans think they know what they're facing. They think they're facing 50 outdated ships with basic weapons. What are they really facing? Asked Olivia. General Rivera's face grew serious. The full might of humanity. The power we've hidden for 3,000 years. The reason why the galaxy begged us for peace. A message came through from Earth. General Hawkins's face appeared on the screen again. The Mobius Protocol has been activated. All systems are online and ready. Thank you, General, said General Rivera. She turned to Olivia. Commander Grant, would you like to give the Zellarans one last chance to turn back? Olivia nodded. Lieutenant Powell, open a channel to the Zellaran flagship. The face of Grand Admiral Zaxtar appeared on the screen. He looked surprised to be receiving a call from the humans. This is Commander Olivia Grant of the USS Dauntless. Zellaran fleet, you are ordered to turn around and return to your territory. This is your only warning. The Zellaran Admiral laughed. You are in no position to give warnings, human. Surrender now, and perhaps the Emperor will allow some of your species to live as slaves. Olivia looked at General Rivera, who nodded. Olivia turned back to the screen. You were warned, she said simply, and cut the connection. General Rivera gave the command they had been waiting for. Activate all Mobius units. Target the Zelleran fleet. Throughout the solar system, thousands of objects that had looked like simple asteroids, satellites, and space debris suddenly came to life. Lights flickered on them as they moved into new positions. The war that the Zillarans had started was about to end before it truly began. On the Zillaran flagship, Grand Admiral Zekek Star was about to give the order to attack when his sensor officer called out in alarm. "Sir, new contacts appearing all around us." The Grand Admiral turned to the main display. Thousands of small objects were lighting up on the screen. They had been there all along, but the Zillaran sensors had seen them as simple space rocks and debris. "What are they?" he demanded. The sensor officer worked quickly at his station. "Unknown, sir. They appear to be some kind of weapon platforms. They're everywhere." The Grand Admiral's confidence began to fade. "Scan them. What kind of weapons do they have?" Before the officer could answer, a new alert sounded. "Energy readings from all the objects, sir. They're activating something. Raise shields, prepare to fire," ordered the Grand Admiral. But it was too late. The hidden human weapons fired first. Beams of bright blue light shot out from thousands of points around the Zillaran fleet. These beams didn't hit the ships directly. Instead, they created a web of light that surrounded the entire fleet. "Our shields are failing," shouted the shield officer. "The energy beams are going through them like they're not even there." On the bridge of the USS Dauntless, Commander Olivia Grant watched with wide eyes as the Mobius weapons activated. The space around the Zillaran fleet glowed blue. "What's happening?" she asked. Dr. Cole stepped forward. Her eyes were fixed on the display. "The Mobius weapons create a special energy field. It doesn't destroy ships, it stops their technology from working." As they watched, the lights on the Zillaran ships began to go out. The ships stopped moving. "No destruction?" asked Lieutenant Powell. "We're not attacking them?" General Rivera shook her head. "There's no need to kill them. We just need to show them that they can't win." Back on the Zillaran flagship, panic was spreading. Nothing worked. Weapons, engines, even life support systems were failing. "What's happening?" Grand Admiral Zackstar shouted. "Get our systems back online." "We can't, sir," said the engineering officer. "Something is blocking all power systems. We're running on emergency backup only." "That's impossible." The Grand Admiral's voice rose higher. "No species has technology that can do this." A message came through on the emergency communication system. It was the only thing still working on the ship. Commander Olivia Grant's face appeared on a small screen. "Zillaran fleet, your ships have been disabled. Your weapons and engines will not work until we allow it. You are now at our mercy." The Grand Admiral could not believe what was happening. His mighty fleet defeated in minutes without a single shot being fired at them. "How?" he asked. "How is this possible?" Another face appeared on the screen. It was General Sofia Rivera. The Grand Admiral did not know who she was, but something about her made his insides go cold. 3,000 years ago," she said, "humanity developed weapons that could have destroyed the galaxy. Instead of using them, we chose peace. We put our most dangerous weapons away, we went to sleep, we let the galaxy think we were weak." You tricked us," said the Grand Admiral. "No," said General Rivera. "We showed mercy. And now we're showing mercy again. We could destroy your entire fleet right now, but we won't." On the USS Dauntless, Olivia watched the conversation with pride. She had always believed in peace. Now she understood why humanity had worked so hard to keep it. The Grand Admiral's voice came through the communication system. "What do you want? From us?" "We want you to go home," said General Rivera. "We want you to tell your Emperor that humanity does not want war. We never did. But we will finish any war that comes to us." There was a long silence. Then the Grand Admiral spoke again. "We cannot go home. Our ships have no power." Dr. Cole stepped forward. "We will restore enough power for you to return to your territory, but your weapons will remain disabled until you cross the border." "And if we refuse?" asked the Grand Admiral. General Ford answered this time. "Then we will show you what our weapons can really do. What you've seen is just a small taste of our power. Another long silence, then, "We will return to our territory. This war is over." General Rivera nodded. "A wise decision, Admiral. Remember this day. Remember what happened when you tried to fight humanity." The communication ended. Dr. Cole pressed some buttons on a small device she carried. Across the Zelleran fleet, enough systems came back online to allow the ships to move. Slowly, the alien ships turned around and began to head back the way they had come. Lieutenant Powell let out a breath he had been holding. "That's it? We won, without firing a single shot?" Colonel Hart laughed. "The best kind of victory, son. No one dies." Olivia looked at the 5 sleepers with new understanding. "You really could have destroyed them all, couldn't you?" Admiral Winters nodded sadly. "Yes. And that's why we chose to sleep for 3,000 years, because we knew what we were capable of. And it scared us." 2 days later, the 5 sleepers and Commander Olivia Grant sat in the White House with President Diane Russell. They had just finished telling her everything that had happened. "The Zelleran Emperor has sent a message," said the President. "He apologizes for the misunderstanding and wants to renew the peace accords." "Misunderstanding?" General Rivera shook her head with a small smile. "That's one way to put it." "Will you go back to sleep now?" asked Olivia. The question had been on her mind since the Zelleran fleet left. The 5 sleepers looked at each other. It was Dr. Cole who answered. "Yes. We don't belong in this time. We are weapons from a darker age. The galaxy is better without us awake." "But what if someone else attacks Earth?" asked the President. "What if we need you again?" General Rivera stood up and walked to the window. Outside, people walked in a park, enjoying a sunny day. They had no idea how close they had come to war. "Humanity has grown beyond us," she said. "You found a way to win without destruction. You're doing better than we ever did." "We only used your weapons," said Olivia. "But you chose how to use them," said Admiral Winters. "In our time, we might have destroyed the Zelleran fleet to teach them a lesson. You chose a better way." President Russell stood. "Then we'll prepare the sleep chambers again. But know that you will always be remembered as heroes, the guardians who keep humanity safe, even in your sleep." As they left the White House, Olivia walked beside General Rivera. "I still don't understand something," she said. "Why did we laugh when the Zellerans declared war? How did we know we weren't in danger?" General Rivera smiled. "Because deep down, humanity has always known the truth. We're not peaceful because we're weak. We're peaceful because we choose to be. And that's something worth laughing about." The next day, the 5 sleepers returned to their pods beneath the Rocky Mountains. As the cold sleep took them again, they did so with the knowledge that humanity was safe, and that the galaxy had been reminded why peace was the better choice for everyone. 1 week after the Zelleran fleet left Earth space, Commander Olivia Grant and the USS Dauntless received new orders. They were to travel to the neutral space station Harmony for a special meeting. The Galactic Confederation had called an emergency session. "Looks like we're going to be in the spotlight," said Lieutenant Powell as they prepared to leave Earth orbit. Olivia nodded. "The whole galaxy wants to know what happened with the Zellerans." "Do you think they're afraid of us now?" asked Powell. "Maybe," said Olivia. "But that's not what we want. We want respect, not fear." The journey to the space station took 3 days. When they arrived, Olivia was surprised to see hundreds of ships from different species all around the station. News of the failed Zelleran attack had spread quickly. Ambassador Susan Riley met them at the docking bay. She was Earth's main representative to the Galactic Confederation. "Commander Grant, welcome to Harmony," she said, shaking Olivia's hand. "You've become quite famous." "I didn't do much," said Olivia. "The sleepers did all the work." "But the sleepers are gone again," said the ambassador. "You're the face of humanity's victory now. The Confederation wants to hear from you directly." Olivia felt nervous. She was a ship commander, not a diplomat. "What do they want to know?" "Everything," said Ambassador Riley. "How we defeated the Zelleran fleet, what weapons we used, and most importantly, why we didn't destroy them when we could have." Inside the main chamber of the station, representatives from 50 different species sat in a large circle. Olivia stood in the center with Ambassador Riley. The room was silent, as everyone watched them. The head of the Confederation, a tall blue-skinned alien named Director Zorn, spoke first. "Commander Olivia Grant of Earth, we have called you here to explain recent events. The Zalaran Empire, one of our strongest members, attacked your world and was defeated without a single ship being destroyed. Can you tell us how this happened?" Olivia took a deep breath. 3,000 years ago, humanity developed weapons that we decided were too dangerous to use. When the peace accords were signed, we agreed to hide these weapons and limit our technology. We chose peace over power. Murmurs spread through the room. Director Zorn raised a hand for silence. "But you kept these weapons," he said. "You maintained them in secret." "Yes," said Olivia. "We kept them as a last defense, hoping we would never need them." A representative from a reptilian species stood up. "If you had these weapons all along, why did you allow other species to take advantage of Earth? Why did you allow the Zalarans to claim some of your outer colonies over the years?" Olivia had wondered this herself. She answered with what General Rivera had told her, "Because the cost of using our power would have been too high. We could have defended every inch of our territory, but that might have led to war. We chose to lose a little, rather than risk losing everything." Another representative, a small furry alien, spoke next. "The Zalarans say your weapons shut down their entire fleet without harming a single ship. Is this true?" "Yes," said Olivia. "We could have destroyed them, but we chose not to." "Why?" asked several voices at once. Olivia looked around the room. "Because humanity has learned something important over the last 3,000 years. True strength isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about having the power to destroy them, but choosing not to." The room fell silent again. Then Director Zorn leaned forward. "Commander Grant, the Confederation is concerned. If humanity has been hiding such powerful technology, what else might you be hiding? How can we trust you?" Ambassador Riley stepped forward. "For 3,000 years, humanity has kept the peace. We could have conquered the galaxy, but we didn't. Isn't that proof enough of our intentions?" Back on Earth, President Diane Russell was meeting with her advisors. They were watching the Confederation meeting through a live feed. "They're afraid of us now," said Secretary Murphy. "This could cause problems. Or it could lead to greater respect," said the President. "It all depends on what Commander Grant says next." On the space station, Olivia thought carefully about her next words. The future of Earth's relationship with the galaxy might depend on them. "Members of the Confederation," she said, "humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We don't want other species to fear us. What we want is what we've always wanted, to live in peace." She paused, then continued. "When the Zalarans declared war on us, do you know what our first reaction was? We laughed, not because we were confident of victory, but because the idea of war seemed so unnecessary. We've spent 3,000 years building, learning, and growing together. Why would we want to destroy what we've all created?" Director Zorn studied her face. "Yet you kept weapons that could do just that." "We kept them hoping we would never use them," said Olivia. "And when we did use them, we chose the least harmful option." A new voice spoke up. It was the Zalaran representative. He had been silent until now. "The humans could have destroyed our entire fleet," he said. "Instead, they simply sent us home. They showed mercy." The word seemed difficult for him to say. "Zalarans were not known for mercy." "Yes," said Olivia, "because that's what humanity has become. We're not the warmakers of the past. We're builders now, explorers, dreamers." Director Zorn stood up. "Commander Grant, the Confederation wishes to propose a new agreement with Earth. We ask that you share some of your defensive technology with us in exchange for new rights and protections for human colonies." Olivia looked at Ambassador Riley, who nodded slightly. "I think that's something we can discuss," said Olivia. "But first, we need to be clear about one thing. Humanity will defend itself if attacked. We prefer peace, but we will not allow anyone to mistake our kindness for weakness again. The meeting went on for hours. By the end, a new understanding had been reached. Earth would share some of its defensive technology, not all of it, but enough to help protect other peaceful worlds. In return, Earth would receive new territory and resources. As Olivia prepared to return to the USS Dauntless, Ambassador Riley shook her hand again. "You did well, Commander. The galaxy has a new respect for humanity now." "Not fear?" asked Olivia. "No," said the ambassador with a smile. "Something better. They see now what it truly means to be human. Not just our power, but our compassion." As the USS Dauntless left the space station, Olivia looked out at the stars. She thought about the sleepers. Back in their long sleep beneath the mountains of Earth, they had fought for this moment, for a time when humanity could be strong without being feared. "Course set for Earth, Commander," said Lieutenant Powell. Olivia nodded. "Take us home, Lieutenant. I think we've done enough for one day." The ship turned and headed for Earth, leaving behind a galaxy forever changed by the war that never really happened. 6 months had passed since the day the Zellerans declared war on humanity. The galaxy had changed in many ways since then. The USS Dauntless floated near the edge of Earth's solar system. Commander Olivia Grant stood on the bridge, looking at the stars. "Message from Earth Command, Commander," said Lieutenant Powell. "Put it through," said Olivia. The face of Admiral Frank Delgado appeared on the screen. He had been promoted after the Zellaran incident. "Commander Grant, how are things at the border?" "Quiet, Admiral," Olivia replied. "The new monitoring stations are working well. We can see everything coming and going." "Good," said the Admiral. "And our guests?" Olivia smiled. "The Zellaran diplomats are settling in. They seem genuinely interested in learning about Earth culture. After the failed war, the Zellaran Emperor had sent diplomats to Earth as a show of good faith. It was the first time Zellarans had lived on Earth in over 2,000 years. "Excellent," said Admiral Delgado. "The President wants to know if you'll be back for the ceremony next week." "I wouldn't miss it," said Olivia. When the call ended, Lieutenant Powell walked over to Olivia. "Do you think the peace will last this time?" he asked. Olivia nodded. "I think so. The galaxy understands us better now, and we understand ourselves better too." 1 week later, a special ceremony took place in the Great Hall of the United Nations building in New York. Representatives from 50 alien species sat alongside human leaders. President Diane Russell stood at the center next to the Zellaran Emperor himself. It was the first time any Zellaran Emperor had visited Earth. Olivia sat in the front row, wearing her formal uniform. She watched as the President and the Emperor signed a new peace treaty. "Today marks a new chapter in galactic history," said President Russell. "Not just peace between Earth and the Zellaran Empire, but a deeper understanding between all species." The Zellaran Emperor spoke next. His voice translator made his clicks and hisses into smooth English. 3,000 years ago, the galaxy feared the power of humanity. Today, we respect humanity's wisdom. The Zellaran Empire apologizes for our mistake in thinking restraint was weakness. After the ceremony, Olivia found herself face to face with the Emperor. He was taller than she expected, nearly 7 feet high. His hard outer shell gleamed in the light. "Commander Grant," he said, his large eyes focusing on her. "I wished to meet you in person." Olivia bowed slightly. "It's an honor, Your Majesty." "No, the honor is mine," said the Emperor. "You could have destroyed my fleet. You could have ended my empire. Instead, you showed mercy. This is a concept my people have not valued enough in the past." Olivia wasn't sure what to say. "We just did what we thought was right. And that is why humanity is special," said the Emperor. "You have the power to destroy, but you choose to create instead." Later that day, Olivia visited the facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. She had asked for special permission to see the sleepers one more time before they were sealed away again. Dr. Patricia Walsh met her at the entrance. "They're already back in deep sleep," she said as they walked down the long hallway. "But you can see them if you wish." The room was cold and Quiet. The 5 pods stood in a row, their clear tops showing the sleeping figures inside. Olivia walked to the first pod and looked down at General Sofia Rivera. "Do you think they'll ever need to wake up again?" asked Dr. Walsh. Olivia shook her head. "I hope not. I think they've done their part. Now it's up to us to make sure their sacrifice wasn't wasted." Sacrifice? Dr. Walsh looked curious. "They're not dead." "No," said Olivia. "But they gave up their lives. 3,000 years gone in an instant for them. They'll never see the world they helped create. They'll only see the world in danger." Dr. Walsh nodded slowly. "I never thought of it that way." As they left the facility, Olivia looked back one last time. "Keep them safe," she said. "But let's try to build a galaxy that never needs them again." 1 month later, the USS Dauntless prepared for a special mission. For the first time, a human ship would visit the Zalaran homeworld as an honored guest rather than as an enemy or a cautious ally. Lieutenant Powell checked the final preparations. "All systems ready, Commander. We can leave whenever you give the word." Olivia nodded. "Good. This is an important mission. We're representing all of humanity now." "Are you nervous?" asked Powell. Olivia thought for a moment. "No. We've shown the galaxy who we really are. Now we just need to live up to that image." As the USS Dauntless left Earth orbit, a message came through from President Russell. "Commander Grant, the hopes of Earth go with you. Remember, you're not just visiting as a military leader, but as a symbol of humanity's new role in the galaxy." "I understand, Madam President," said Olivia. "We won't let you down." The journey to the Zalaran homeworld took 2 weeks. When they arrived, they were met by a fleet of Zalaran ships. But this time, the ships formed an honor guard, escorting the USS Dauntless to the planet below. As they approached the planet, Olivia remembered the laugh that had started it all. The moment when the Zalaran ambassador had declared war, and humanity had responded not with fear but with amusement. "Sometimes," she said to Lieutenant Powell, "the best way to respond to a threat is to show you're not afraid." "Is that why we laughed?" asked Powell. "I think we laughed because we knew something the Zalarans had forgotten," said Olivia. "That humanity isn't peaceful because we have to be. We're peaceful because we choose to be." The USS Dauntless entered orbit around the Zalaran homeworld. Below them, in the capital city, thousands of Zalarans had gathered to witness the arrival of the human ship. Many of them had heard stories of Earth's hidden power. Some still feared what humans might do. But most were curious about the species that could have destroyed them but chose not to. "We're being hailed," said the communications officer. "It's the Zalaran High Council. They're welcoming us to their world." Olivia straightened her uniform and smiled. "Put them through. Let's show them what humanity is really about." The face of the Zalaran Council leader appeared on the screen. His mandibles clicked in what Olivia now knew was a sign of respect. "Commander Grant," he said, "welcome to Zalara. We have much to learn from each other." Olivia nodded. "Yes, we do. And we have all the time in the galaxy to do it." As the USS Dauntless began its descent to the planet's surface, Olivia thought about the sleepers, still dreaming beneath the mountains of Earth. They had fought for this moment, a time when humanity could travel the stars not as conquerors, but as teachers and friends. The war that never happened had led to a peace stronger than any before it, and that was something worth laughing about indeed.